What is up, guys? We got a really big show tonight. We're going to be checking out this video coming up right now. Shannon Sharpe, NBL Season 19. He said Jay Cutler was done, and obviously that hasn't been the case. So we're going to be talking the resurgence of Jay Cutler. Now check out this video from Shannon Sharpe.
Or they keep quitting. You can't win with him. How much body of work do you need to see? He's been in the league 10 or 11 years. He is what he is. What you get is a petulant, a non-energetic, lethargic guy that has a big arm, who's supremely arm talented, but lacks discipline, lacks focus, and he doesn't motivate me to want to go out there and play at my all-time best for him.
All right, guys, you're watching the Commissioner's Corner podcast, episode number 9 for December 3rd, 2016. And you know we always get the show started with the 2-minute drill with Lipp. Lipp, you ready for the 2-minute drill?
Let's do it.
All right, we're going to start the clock right now. Who is the best team in the AFC East? The Bills are currently 8-4, the Jets are 6-6, and the Patriots are also 6-6.
Look, dude, these Bills are on fire. They are rising to the top. They've got 2 big games against the Jets to prove they're the best team. Now's the time to do it.
All right, so we all know the New Orleans Saints are owned by Bananas now, the new owner. So who's going to benefit more, the quarterback Craig Dronett or 49ers quarterback Jawar Woodward, who's owned by Deca Dog?
I think that Woodward has the brightest future, and it's because of the guys around him. He's got this guy named Jamison Finley. This dude is 6'2", 212, and already this season he's gone for over 800 yards and 5 touchdowns. They're going to be stars together moving forward.
We just started Week 14, NBL Season 20. That means there's 4 weeks left till the playoffs. Any surprise teams that you feel can make a playoff run right now?
I think the Panthers are doing an awesome job this season, and they've got 3 of their last 4 at home. They've got the Packers, the Vikings, the Rams, the Jets. I think that they can win all 4 of them and make it into the playoffs. They're definitely having a great year.
All right, so we're looking at Porter's Broncos, a really good team top to bottom. What do they have to do to take that next step in the playoffs and possibly start talking Super Bowl in Denver?
It's real simple. All they got to do is limit the turnovers. Look, right now, Paxton Lynch has a quarterback rating of 59.3. He's thrown 13 touchdowns, 28 interceptions. The defense is great. Everything around the offense is great. Paxton Lynch just got to hold on to the ball.
Where did the Texans come looking like a top seed right now? Where did this come from? Why is Texas playing so good? Why are they so great right now?
Opposite of what we just talked about, this is all coming from Connor Cook. 19 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, only been sacked 14 times, quarterback rating of 111. This guy's playing out of his mind, and that is why the Texans might get the 2nd seed in the AFC.
And that's a timer right there. Just barely beat the 2-minute drill. Lipp, another great job with the 2-minute drill. And guys, we are going to respond to that Shannon Sharpe little message he sent to Jay Cutler last year that Cutler's responded. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into a whole lot of new topics, talking about Adrian Peterson coming up in the free agency, a bunch of different things. So stay tuned to the Commissioner's Corner podcast. Are you looking for affordable graphic design? Well, the Madden Bomber League has you covered. Our sponsor at web3ks.com can do anything you want. They always go, Bomber, where'd you get those intros? Web3ks.com. Bomber, where'd you get them graphics? Web3ks.com. So you guys need to check it out. If you run a CFM, if you got a Twitter account, if you got a YouTube account, and you're looking for some nice, clean, affordable graphics, go to web3ks.com and he will fulfill all your graphics needs. All right, guys, so about week 5, week 6, Adrian Peterson hasn't played a snap for the Minnesota Vikings, and they announced on their team Twitter that they were going to be releasing him to free agency at the end of the year. Let's take a look how Stephen A. Smith spins the fact that this guy's going to be a free agent, and he still thinks he has some tread left on those tires. Now take a listen.
He's 31 years of age. I know the clock's ticking, but he was the best running back in football, one of the top 2 actually with him and Le'Veon Bell and what have you. He's elite. I think he's got some time left, and I don't think this team is good enough to win the Super Bowl.
All right, so in 10 seconds of listening to Stephen A. talk, there's kind of like 3 things I wanted to touch on. and just kind of get a response and see what your take is, Lipp, on this whole thing. So Adrian Peterson's currently 32 years old right now, and Stephen A. said he's one of the top 2 running backs in football, in the NBL right now, him and Le'Veon Bell. Do you agree with that first statement by Stephen A. Smith that a 32-year-old going to be 33 next year is still top 2 running back in the NBL?
No, I can't say that I do agree with that. Just the way he's playing this year, the success that the Vikings aren't having, I just don't think he's the guy anymore. And I think that they need to win. They need to move on from him and start fresh.
Yeah, and he also stated that the Vikings weren't a Super Bowl team. Vikings did make the playoffs last season, are obviously going to fail to make it this year. The team decided to cut ways with Adrian Peterson after 72 carries, 318 yards at 4.4 yards a carry, and only 1 lowly touchdown in the 5.5 games that he played. So Adrian Peterson going into the free agency, where are some suitors you could see him going right now? Obviously, he's going to be potential playoff teams and maybe potential Super Bowl teams that need an established running game.
Well, I think that this team has a lot of pieces that could fit Adrian Peterson. I think that the Browns are going to get a quarterback in the draft. You know, big story we've always been talking about. Oh, they went defender. They should have went quarterback. Okay, they're going to go quarterback in the draft. They have, you know, these guys that they kind of plug and play, and they kind of work, they kind of don't. You don't know what they're going to do. The Browns go out, they get a quarterback, rookie guy. Let him hand the ball off to Adrian Peterson, and that is going to help that rookie develop. I think that is a great fit, and I'd be very excited to see how that would play out for Cleveland.
All right, so you say Cleveland. I'm thinking NFC right now. You know, and I'm looking over there, and I'm honestly thinking they're going NFC East because you see the Cowboys with such a tough running attack. You just need somebody in there, and I think the Eagles would be a nice fit for a year or two for Adrian Peterson to come in there, 33 years old, and I still think he might have a couple years left and a little more tread on the tire than most people might believe. But right now, you know, he's making 15. He's going to want 15, probably 12 to 15 million dollars a year. And do you think he has that kind of value right now? That's what I want to know. So Stephen A. says he's a top 2. I think he's more of a top 10 in the league right now. Definitely top 10, probably top 7 halfback in the league. But we look at the success that older halfbacks are having, because last year we had who come out in the free agency? Which halfback from Kansas City? Jamal Charles.
Charles.
Straight up beast. And what is Jamal Charles doing right now? He's starting to turn it on for Chicago. He's averaging 4 yards a carry. He's got 10 touchdowns. But he went to Chicago and he's making about $6 million a year. Right now, definitely took a pay cut, but he's really been turning it on. In the last 5 games, he's got, games where he's averaging 5-6 yards a carry, punching in a touchdown or 2 per game.
Yeah, I think that a couple of teams are going to try to go after Adrian Peterson hard. I think that they're going to way overpay him. I don't think he's a top 10 halfback anymore. I think that he's fading.
Not top 10.
Not top 10. I think he's fading. We got guys like Roth from the Seattle Seahawks coming in.
So
there's another guy from the Jets coming in.
And these guys are better. Yeah, Lockhart with New York Jets with Delmar running a great game. So you think those guys are better than Adrian Peterson right now?
I just think for the amount that you're going to have to pay him, I think that they're going to be a guy that is past his prime. He's Hall of Fame. Past his prime is going to have the production not as it's going to be somewhere around the same that you're going to get from a rookie in his first NBL game. So I think that you're better off to save your money and go with a guy like these guys other guys are drafting, and that's the best direction to go. I just don't see Adrian Peterson being a top 10 halfback next season.
All right, so we're on completely 2 different sides, and we're gonna quote you on that, and we're gonna look back next year. And if he goes to a quality playoff team, if he goes to a team that's in the playoff hunt, I say he averages over 5 yards a carry and gets probably I'm gonna say between 12, 13 touchdowns in a season, and he goes over 1,000 yards. I'm making that bet right now. Adrian Peterson is going to be worth every dollar on a $12 million a year contract for a couple years with whichever suitor he goes to, as long as he goes to a playoff team. and they have some kind of passing attack that can give him a little relief because obviously he's going to be 33 years old.
I think Adrian Peterson goes to a team that thinks he is the final piece, and they overpay. They pay him 10, 12 million for 2 or 3 seasons, but he's going to walk after the first year. It's not going to be successful. I think there's 1 or 2 situations it could kind of work for a year. But after that, I think he's going to walk into retirement. I don't think it's going to be a good investment by a very, very big portion of the teams in NBL.
So you're telling me if he goes to a team like the Dolphins, which is going to segue into our next topic, that would completely ruin his career, and I completely agree that could definitely destroy him. So moving on to the Miami Dolphins, they're 0-12 right now. They haven't won a game. Are they the worst team in NBL history? That's what we got coming up on the next segment. All right, so we're moving on to the Miami Dolphins. Shannon Sharp recently tweeted, the Miami Dolphins are the worst team in the history of the NBL with the hashtag just get one win. They only want one win. Can you get them one win? Now, Colin Cowherd yesterday, after the Bills game, he went on a little bit of a rant. We're going to play a little clip from there, and he put it all on Ryan Tannehill. So let's check this out real quick.
Listen, but that was a moment last night, and I think everybody in Miami knew it, but the league was watching. You've got to draft another quarterback. Stop convincing yourself. Own your baggage. Be honest. What do they say? We don't lie to anybody more than we lie to ourselves. Man against the definition of...
So, I mean, I'm listening to that and I'm thinking, man, Cuba's not going to want to hear this. Cuba's the owner of the Miami Dolphins in the NBL, and Cowherd's saying, it's time. Everybody knows it. Draft another quarterback. Lipp, is it time to draft another quarterback?
Yeah, I think I think that there's a lot of fans that want to see some success down there in Miami, and if you look at some of the guys that he has around him, Jarvis Landry, Devontae Parker, Deion Sims is a good tight end, and he's got good running backs. He's got Jay Ajayi and Kenyon Drake. Those guys are capable. They can do stuff. I don't know how the offensive line is, but they can do stuff. But just from his leadership and where this team's at right now mentally, they need hope. They just need to separate themselves from that whole Ryan Tannehill mess of 2 years, and just move on, bring in a new guy and some hope into Miami.
Yeah, I'm looking at his stats right now, and I'm checking out week by week on daddyleagues.com, and I'm seeing 50% completions. Week 3 was 50% completions, 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 3 sacks. They lost 29-0. I mean, it's just consistency of poor play from Ryan Tannehill, but I don't know if you give up on him just yet, because if you don't get the quarterback, if you don't like the quarterbacks in the draft, where do you go? What quarterbacks are out there in the draft right now, Lipp? Like, which ones would you say, hey, man, this is worth getting rid of Tannehill and going with this guy day one?
Well, if I had to agree with you on one thing, I would say that Ryan Tannehill's been sacked 33 times, so it may not be all on him, but the 27 interceptions are more on him than the offensive line. So I think if you are sticking with him, you've got to do something about that offensive line. But the guy that I'm looking at that I would like to see Miami go after is a guy from LSU named Alan James.
Oh, I love him.
He's a big, strong guy. He stands 6'6", 225 pounds. He's got a big arm. He can throw the ball, and that's something. If you look at their wide receivers, Jarvis Landry, Devontae, and those guys, you can send them deep, and you just if you work the run game, fix that O-line, let Jay Ajayi run, you let Alan James just toss it deep, and then let him work underneath off the run game. I think that's a great fit for Miami.
Yeah, Alan James might be the strongest. If he comes in the NBL, he's gonna get drafted 1 or 2. And that's where they have him projected going 1 or 2, and it looks like the Dolphins are going to get the number 1 pick. So if the Miami Dolphins select him, I'd say he'd have the strongest arm in the NBL from day one.
Yeah, and I think that's something that you would need to understand, that sometimes he's gonna make mistakes, but that's the guy that can make the throws once you get him into the system, let him learn the playbook, let him watch tape, let him get used to the guys, and once he gets all that, he's gonna be able to fit balls everywhere.
So let's pause. Let's look at this Ryan Tannehill team right now, and we'll say QBR 67.4, really bad, towards the bottom of the league. He's making $14.54 million this year. He's got a cap penalty of 14.32 if you were to cut him today. Next year will drop a little bit to about 9-10 million. So you're looking at Tannehill. You go with the quarterback. Is he a day one starter? Or do you keep Tannehill for an extra year to kind of coach him up? Does Tannehill even have anything to coach this guy up on? And then my other question to you on top of that is this the worst team in NBL history? As Shannon Sharp profoundly said on Twitter, as the tweet's showing right now in our graphic.
Okay, here's the thing. Ryan Tannehill wasn't even really a quarterback for most of his life.
Yeah, that's true.
He can't be a guy that you, what is he going to teach him? There's nothing there. There's nothing to teach him.
Okay, let me rephrase it. Not teach him. Maybe shelter him from the rookie wall. Let's just say maybe give him 6 games to get his feet wet a little bit. So Tannehill just. So I guess you'd have to throw another season.
So you throw Tannehill out there, let him take the bruises while the rookie's not, or while the rookie's learning, so he's not a complete rookie day one.
Maybe something like that. I mean, obviously not an ideal strategy, but we've seen it been done in the past. Is this a situation where you even think that with the contract and the cap penalty being so high financially, cutting him at next season is going to hurt you more than help you?
I could see it, but good gracious, I do not want my rookie quarterback picking up any bad habits from the guy named Ryan Tannehill. Nothing.
Okay, so Tannehill's out. Tannehill's out. Let's move to the next question. Shannon Sharp saying this is the worst team in NBL history! Exclamation mark. Got a lot of retweets, man, and he's wondering if they can even win one. So, do they win one game, and are they the worst team in NBL history? That's 20 seasons we're talking of teams, and we've had some pretty bad teams. Is Cuba's Miami Dolphins season 20 the worst in NBL history?
No, they're not the worst in NBL history. There's been a lot of teams that have been really bad, and I mean really bad. This team's not that bad. They might be 0-11, 0-12. But they're just not that bad. They just need to come together a little bit better, and they would start the ball rolling. But to answer your question about a win, I don't think so. Okay, 4 games left. You've got the Falcons and the Titans as 2 of them.
Yeah,
Those
that's losses.
8-4 teams. That's probably not going to happen. This week you've got the Buccaneers. They're 4-8. That could be a win. And then week 17 you've got the Raiders, who are 5-7. It's possible. I just think that your chance to get a win would be against the Buccaneers. But right now it's very tough. It's down to this Buccaneers game, because it's not happening versus the Falcons or the Titans. I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah, let's take a look at the Buccaneers and everybody with the major money on the NBL MGM sports gambling website has the Dolphins minus 8.5 at Tampa. So all the money's going on Tampa right now, and they're taking those. They're taking the 8.5 point. I mean, all the money's going on Miami. It seems like Miami's favored to win this game. So that's the crazy part. So they're favored to go into Tampa and take this win. So I think people are betting just like you. If it ain't going to come now, it's never going to come. So they're rallying behind this 0-12 team.
Well, that's the thing. I think to truly never win a game, to truly go 0-16, it's hard.
But could you give up 8.5 points in Tampa with the 0-12 Dolphins? I don't see how people are taking that bet.
I think that this game is going to give them a win, because I just don't think that they're bad enough to be 0-16. I just don't see it.
Yeah, it's definitely got to come against Tampa if it's going to come at all.
Oh yeah, for sure. If they lose to Tampa, they will go 0-16, because I don't see it happening against the Raiders, but it's got to happen against Tampa.
Well, all right, that's what you have. It not the worst team ever, even if they did go 0-16. We've had a couple go 0-16 in the past. Now we're going to move on to Jay Cutler. We're going to be talking the Chicago Bears, and we got some exciting stuff. We heard what Shannon Sharpe said earlier. Lipp, what are your thoughts about Shannon Sharpe? Real quick, before we transition into the segment, what are your thoughts about Shannon Sharpe's comments about Jay Cutler in NBL Season 19 when he struggled so bad, but the Bears stayed with him, and it's paying dividends today?
Hey, up until this point, maybe a couple times, he was right. You can't win with the guy. He absolutely not. His attitude was terrible. He just did not have that quarterback. Big guy, strong arm. Can do a lot of things. Not a leader up until this point. And whatever Draco has done between last year and this year has completely changed the game for the Chicago Bears.
And that's right. Take a listen to our sponsor, and we'll be right back with some more Jay Cutler. Looking for Madden Bomber League history, content, and news? Go to 365.maddenbomberleague.com. Don't forget to give us a follow on Twitter @BomberLeague and hit that like button and that subscribe on our NBL Network YouTube channel and support one of the fastest growing leagues in the Madden community. All right, so the Bears were on an absolute tear up into the last game. They're on a 2-game skid right now. Cutler's 1 touchdown, 6 interceptions in the last 2 games. But on the season, man, he's been playing great. 15 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, the QBR of 106.7, about 3rd in the league right now. Here's a couple post-game comments from a very confident Jay Cutler after getting beat pretty handily by the Green Bay Packers 37-13 in Week 13. I'll check this out.
We weren't executing. They weren't doing anything all game. They kind of stuck to who we thought they were. Get home with 4 or 5. Play their coverages, play a little bit of man, quarters. They rolled the owl a little bit there with some random downs, but, nothing that we weren't prepared for.
All right, so that's Jay Cutler post-game of a 37-13 thrashing that they got at home versus a division rival Green Bay Packers. But what do you notice? What do you take away from Jay Cutler right there in that little snippet? I'm thinking this is a very confident guy at this point in the season. I mean, that's 2 losses, 1 touchdown, 6 interceptions in the last 2 games. And he's talking like that. He knew what they were going to do. Very confident in the way he's reading defenses and assessing his opponent right now. I mean, this is a completely different Jay Cutler than we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I think that Drago's found a way to get through to him, that he just needs to trust the system, believe what they've got. They've got a great ground game going. Jamal Charles has 10 touchdowns on the year. He's got Kevin White, now Sean Jeffrey to throw the ball to. I just think that he's found a place that he fits, a system that he fits in. And I think that based on his success this year, that he believes in it. And that's pretty powerful with a guy like Jay Cutler that has all the physical tools, but just needed that one thing to push him to where he's now got the mental edge and is a leader. And being positive after a loss like that is a very good sign for Jay Cutler and the Bears.
Yeah, and it would go back to what Shannon Sharpe said at the very beginning of our show. We played a clip from Sharpe last year, NBL Season 19. He questioned Jay Cutler's leadership. Nobody wants to play for him. So I look at this clip now and I'm like, well, it's not leadership, but he does have that confidence that people can get behind. When your quarterback's that confident and he's that sure of himself, you become more sure of yourself. Alshon becomes more sure of himself. The running game becomes better. The offensive line blocks better. Everyone feels like they're playing some type of part that gives them this confidence with their quarterback that it seems like he can't be phased, and they're going to need that going into their stretch, because let's just touch on their final 4 games. They got the Lions. They're going to be at home. Big game for them. They're going to go on the road and play the Steelers. Then they're on the road versus the Saints. Then they're on the road again versus the Packers, who just beat them, obviously, in that 37-13. They got to go into Green Bay. So I want to get your comments on the Shannon Sharpe from last year. I mean, we can't obviously condemn him for what he said because, I mean, that was like saying the sky was blue at that point. Everybody was agreeing that, Cutler should be gone. And Draco said, no, as long as Cutler, has a pulse, he's going to be a Bear.
Yeah, and Drago did say that from day one. He was very confident in his quarterback, and he's definitely made a good quarterback and a good team out of this. Look, if you're Jay Cutler, when things get bad, it looks really bad if you're really upset and don't handle it well. You've got a great running game. You've got two great wide receivers. You've got one of the best defenses. You know, the Draco defense is known around NBL and our community for being pretty good. So to take this high road and be completely different, it's pretty special. It's a pretty good thing, and it's even better because Draco said from day one, this is our guy.
Yeah, so I mean, you just said it. I was going to say it's coming from the top. So Cutler's demeanor and he was just so cool and calm in that post game. You know, I wouldn't have thought they got beat 37-13. I would have thought maybe 24-21, right? So they got blown out, and they had a lot of unfortunate events happen that game. And Cutler, you know, it wasn't a horrible outing for Jay that game. I think his stats, I'm pulling them up right now: 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, 14 for 24. But I'll tell you what, they didn't establish the run game, and they really struggled making catches in traffic. They had a lot of drop balls, a lot of tip balls that went for interceptions. It just wasn't a game that really, you don't think they played bad. You know they're a better team. It was just a game that seemed like they were destined to lose, but a game that just didn't go their way from the beginning. And, you know, that's the way it goes sometimes in sports. So they're 9-3 right now, Lipp. My question to you is, how do these Jay Cutler Bears, who were just 9-1 2 weeks ago, thought they had the division all wrapped up, they lose to the Lions. They come back and lose another division game to the Packers. They got the Lions, the Steelers, the Saints, and the Packers left. That's 3 out of their last 4 games are winning teams with records of Lions 8-4, Steelers 11-1, and Packers 8-4. Where do they finish? What is their finishing record? They got an opportunity to win if they swept the table 13 games, go 13-3. Most likely that's not going to happen. So somewhere between 9 and 12 games. Where do you see them finishing?
Well, I think that I like to think that you usually split amongst good teams. I think that you usually split with teams in your division, depending on the home and away games. So I'm looking at this. They just lost to the Lions in Detroit. So I think this week coming up, I think that they can pull out a win at home. Stafford's still out. Or is this when Stafford comes back?
I think it's game time decision in Detroit from what I've heard, but I'm pretty sure they go with Fitzpatrick. I think they're going with Fitzpatrick.
Huge question there, but I think at home with the Bears, they can split with the Lions. 2 very great teams. I think it's tough. It'll be a close game. I think that the Bears can squeak it out. And then I think that they'll win their second against the Packers. It's on the road, but they're not going to get slapped around by the Packers again.
Then they take the Saints. So you got them at that's 12 wins.
I do think that they can win 3 of those last 4.
Yeah. So then if they lose to the Steelers, that puts them at 12, and then that most likely is going to take, win them the division. At 12-4. I mean, obviously, it would depend on how the Lions and Packers do down the stretch and which one of those 3 of the 4 that they win. So, I mean, the Lions and Packers would have to sweep the rest of it. So, it's going to be close coming down the stretch, but it's good to see Jay Cutler's confidence renewed, or even just anew, because he didn't have that in the past. And you know what everybody was saying last year, he could have just, threw in the towel and probably just retired, man. And he's been in the league quite a while now. So, it's good to see Jay Cutler come back, and this offense seems to be playing up to par and allowing this defense to really keep them and allow them to win some big games. They had a really big win because of their defense against the Bengals, 26-23 in Week 11. That some argued was their best victory of the season, and Cutler just managed the game so beautifully. 358 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Charles ran 15 times for 52 yards. Kevin White, Alshon Jeffrey both had over 100 yards receiving, and each had 7 catches apiece. So their offense was playing so efficient against the Bengals team that many thought was going to make a deep playoff run this year. So they've had their highs and their lows, and it's now time for them to stable out and get into the playoffs and be strong.
See, that's another thing about these Jay Cutler Bears. They've been in some situations where right now they have 9 wins, but at least 2, maybe 3 or 4 could have gone the other way. But I think if they had the old Jay Cutler attitude, they would have lost those 3 or 4 close ones. New Jay Cutler attitude, They win those games. They win the game against the Vikings that didn't have a whole lot of offense. They win that game against the Bengals that they needed that hope and that spirit to stay in that game, and those are the kind of games that you don't win with the previous miserable Jay Cutler. This new Jay Cutler, he keeps them in those close games just by his leadership and his attitude now.
Yeah, we'll continue to follow and see how the 34-year-old quarterback going into next season is going to be 35. See how many more seasons he's got left in the NBL. I mean, he's throwing over 70% completions, QBR over 105 right now. Definitely one of the elite quarterbacks, top 5 production-wise this season in the Madden Bomber League. So we'll keep you guys up to date on that. And that's going to wrap up our show tonight, guys. Go ahead and hit that like button and give us a subscribe. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Bomber League. And the NBL Commissioner's Corner podcast is always sponsored by Web3KS.com. That's affordable graphics at a quality graphics at an affordable price. So, guys, go ahead and check them out, Web3KS.com. They do all our graphics, and they do such a great job. I'm Bomber, and for Lipp, just stay tuned. This is episode 9, episode 10. We got a lot of storylines going into the playoffs, and we're going to keep y'all up to date with what's going on in the NBL. So thanks for watching. Have a good night, and we'll see you next time.